Hello and welcome to this afternoon's meditation class. Just for interest, how many of you attended the workshop with Ajahn Brahm? Okay, a lot of you, excellent. So that was where he was discussing what these meditations are, the deep meditations. So now, having discussed it, you'll know all about it, so now we can actually do it. Well, it's nice to know these things. So one of the reasons why I'm very happy that he gave those talks is that it does mean you have some understanding of what can happen in meditation. Maybe that many of you haven't got even near to those states yet, but you wouldn't realize just how close you can be sometimes. Sometimes what happens is people are meditating and they have a good place to meditate. They feel peaceful, their body is okay, and they start meditating, and these things just happen. It's as if that it's an automatic process, and if you just let it go, and you have a good place, if you're in a good health, good mood, not too much busyness, or you can allow that busyness to disappear, sometimes it just happens by itself. It's not what you do, it's what happens when you stop doing things. That's why it can happen almost at any time. I know sometimes people say they fluke those deep meditations. That's one way of looking at it, but all it means is that they manage to let go enough, be peaceful enough, just to watch, just to be kind, and not to interfere with the process. And it just gets deep all by itself. And if that happens, that's a wonderful thing to observe. It's a learning just how to be sort of peaceful. And so, in my life, because I've been teaching those deep meditations for a long time now, that in my life that sometimes people do get these deep meditations, and when they do, at least if you come here, you've heard about them before. And that's really important, because when it starts to happen, you don't think you're going crazy, you don't think that something bad is happening, you know exactly what is happening, and you don't get scared, you allow it to happen. And when I say those things, that it means that people actually do sometimes get into those states. One of the experiences was this lady in Penang many years ago, and I don't even think she was a Buddhist, but she managed to get into one of these deep meditations, these jhanas, and she didn't know what it was at all. And it really scared her to the point that she was so obsessed with trying to find out what the heck this was, one of the best experiences of her life. So she went to so many psychologists and psychiatrists, and they didn't have a clue what was happening to her. And eventually that she came to see me in Penang, and there I explained exactly what it was. And it was wonderful to describe, she described what she felt, and I described a few things she missed out, telling me, she said, yes, that's it. And she was so happy that somebody else had understood what she'd experienced, and it was quite safe and quite beautiful. Well done. So it showed me that sometimes these states actually happen to people for one reason or another, and that gives them a lot of confidence in where this meditation leads to. Yes, we do talk about meditation in order to make the mind peaceful and calm, to relax, to get over things like cancers and other problems. And it's wonderful being able to use meditation for those things to relax you some more. But it's much more than that, and so it's wonderful. This is a Buddhist society. This is actually what we do, where we sort of lead this meditation to discovering amazing qualities of our mind, incredible sort of awareness and happiness, and even physical resilience as well. There's so many wonderful qualities to these things, but in the end, all it really means is when you know how to be still, that peacefulness, that stillness, that is kind of the key. And because when things are still, there's no movement for a while, that's when things disappear, when they vanish. And one of the personal experiences when this happened to me, one of the early times, I was still a lay person, and in those days in UK, it was 50 years ago now, I would go to any Buddhist community any retreat center, anywhere where they're holding a retreat, because I didn't have much choice. There weren't sort of many Buddhist temples or places where you could meditate. So this one place which I went to just for a weekend retreat was in a place called Fossil Hole in Northumberland. It was a Zen monastery, and they had a weekend retreat. And it was a bit of renunciation, because that same weekend, the place where I was living in the town of Durham, I pronounce that properly, it's not called Durham, Durham. The pronunciation is much different. So when I was staying there, the Rolling Stones were coming for a concert there, and had a choice: go and see the Rolling Stones or go on a retreat. I was a good Buddhist, so I went on the retreat. And when I went on that retreat, I hadn't got a clue what Zen meditation was. But then what I was told, that we sit down on this Zen hall, just 2 lines, and facing the wall, and meditating with your eyes open. I'd never done that before, meditating with your eyes open, but this time, why not? Give it a try. So you're meditating with your eyes open, about 45 minutes at a time, just staring at a wall. And then, the best thing I got from that retreat was, as I was staring at the wall, at least I knew how to be peaceful, how to be in the present moment, how to be silent. I'd done enough meditation that time, I could just be aware in this moment. And that's where you're looking at this whitewashed wall, and then the wall vanished. It disappeared. My eyes were fully open, and there was no wall there at all. And because this was in the 60s, or early 70s, that was when a lot of my friends, I wasn't into drugs, but a lot of my friends were, and anything which was weird was supposed to be cool. And so I wasn't scared. I thought, wow, this is cool. A wall has suddenly disappeared, and my eyes were fully opened. And because of that, I could maintain my awareness. I wasn't scared. I never sort of got upset. I thought, this is weird. And it also helped because I was a scientist, theoretical physics, so I didn't mind things doing weird stuff. I thought it was really interesting. So when I saw the wall vanish, I wondered why. And then later on it became absolutely clear. There's a wonderful example. Even though your eyes were open, because nothing was moving, just like you hear the noise of the fans, after a while you won't be able to hear them. They become what's called ambient noise. And the way your brain works is that if nothing's changing, it disappears. The sound disappears. The brain is only really set up, it's only wired to notice when things change. And if they stay the same, they just disappear. The brain's got other things to do than being aware of something which is always constant. And that's exactly what's happening with my sight. Eyes open, watching a wall, my brain realizes nothing really to bother you. The wall was the same for minute after minute after minute. So it just turned off its sense of sight. And so the wall vanished. That was really cool. It also taught me that when things are still, something vanishes. And it also taught me that that was basically the meaning, in Buddhism, of the word anicca. Something always there, which is not supposed to vanish, disappears. And that was really cool. When you start doing your meditation, you'll be aware of all sorts of things. But if they're reasonably still, there's not too much noise, after a while your ears turn off. You can't hear much at all. The sense of bodily touch starts to disappear because you're not moving. And as long as you're comfortable and there's not any throbbing pain, then that disappears. This is the great disappearing act. It's one of the reasons why I was very pleased. Is Lynn here? Lynn Jackson? No, she's outside. But we're just looking at some of the books this morning, and she was saying one of her favourite books which I wrote was The Art of Disappearing. And there's the head monk over in Indonesia. When I met him some years ago, he said that was his favourite book as well, The Art of Disappearing. It was talking about meditation in a very beautiful way, in a way where little things disappear and other things disappear, and you get less and less and less, and more peaceful, more free. And that's actually how these things work. So when there's stillness, there's disappearance. And when things disappear, it gets very peaceful. As it gets more peaceful, it's like your energy's got nowhere else to go. It's not wasted in thinking, in doing things, in managing things. Life becomes really simple. Extremely simple. You've got nothing much at all to be aware of. And that's where you get huge amounts of joy and happiness from. It's like your energy gets focused. You know, if you took a magnifying glass and put it outside, where that sun gets focused, you can start a fire. It focuses all the energy into one place. And that's what stillness does. Focus the energy of your mind inside. And it gets stronger and stronger, more and more beautiful, more and more powerful. And those eventually to become the jhanas. I don't know if Ajahn Brahm told you, but the word jhanas and the word for fire are closely linked together. And that's one of the reasons why you can see why they're linked together. It's like the mind gets focused and it gets like a fire, nothing which burns, but which is inside you. Extremely pleasant. A lot of focused energy. So anyway, I'm glad that he talked about that today. And just because you're a lay person doesn't mean that won't happen to you. Those deep meditations. In the time of the Buddha, many lay people from all walks of life, all ages, all genders, they managed to get these amazing jhanas. So why not you? Remember this. Sometimes people feel that, I am just too flippant when I talk. But there's this wonderful, funny story in the suttas. And often, if you come to the sutta class, I have mentioned this a few times. And it was a story of one of the Buddha's chief disciples, lay disciples, whose name was Chitta the householder. And he was a general before, but then he became disciple of the Buddha. And then he went to see one of the leader of the Jains. It was a strange historical anomaly, but it's been validated. The Buddha and the leader of the Jains, at that time was called Nigantanathaputta. These days, most people call him Mahavira. But they lived in almost the same area of India at the same time. So it was strange that these two founders of great religions, the Jains and Buddhism, were contemporary. And anyway, and they're still very strong today. Obviously the Buddhists are strong, so is the Jain path. But that this Chitta went to see Nigantanathaputta, the leader of the Jains. And the Jain leader was discussing these deep meditations, jhanas. And when he saw Chitta, a well-known disciple of the Buddha, come, he said to Chitta, we've just been discussing about these things called meditation where all thought stops. Do you believe that, Chitta? And Chitta the householder said, no, I don't believe that at all. And then Nigantanathaputta said, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. See, this is a well-known disciple of the Buddha himself. And even he doesn't believe that you can stop thinking. And the leader of the Jains said, you might as well try and put your fist in the river Ganges to stop the current. The current is too strong. Of course you can't stop it just by putting your fist in the river. No one can do that. And see, even one of the leading disciples of the Buddha says it can't be done. And then Chitta said, yes, that's true. I don't believe it can be done. I know it can be done because I get into jhanas myself, he said. And then Nigantanataputta, he says, oh, these Buddhist disciples, they're really tricky. You can't have a proper conversation with them. So it was a bit funny. I kind of enjoyed that because, I'm a Buddhist and we were on the leading. We actually won that conversation. But actually what it did show that even then, when all thought stops and you're perfectly aware and blissed out, why not? So anyway, that can sometimes happen. And when it does, well done. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. You don't have to worry about a thing. As I say in the retreats, it's always beneficial. And there's only one danger. You know what the danger is? If you get into too many of those deep meditations, you tend to lose all your hair. There's a lot of monks and nuns who just got into those meditations and it ended up just staying as a monk or nun because it changed your idea of what is really worthwhile in life. So anyway, I shouldn't keep on talking too much. But anyway, I should have announced at the beginning, if there's anyone here for the introduction to meditation class, that is being held in the room to my right. This is the ongoing class, so hopefully you're happy to stay here and get some jhanas and lose all your hair. Is that a good idea? Okay, let's see what happens. So if you like to get yourself in a reasonable good position. I say reasonable good position because it's never perfect when you begin, but after a while you tend to get good enough, and good enough, we call it good enough because it's enough to get into deep meditation and the body experiences that it disappears. You can't feel it. Yes, thank you. I'll sit like this today. So here we go. And every time when you start meditating, sitting down, I do this no matter how many years I've meditated, just to check my body. And today, I'm not sitting on a cushion, just on the mat. Usually there's a cushion here, but today there's not, and instead of asking for one, my body feels quite nice like this, sitting directly on the floor. I do recall when I started meditating in Thailand, only the senior monks got the cushions. We junior monks had to just sit on the hard concrete. And I thought that was really unfair, because I was really thin then, and the senior monks had all the natural upholstery, called fat. Now I'm senior, I've got my own fat, my own cushions. So I just check my body, make sure everything is fine. I just go through I do like doing a scan. And unlike other traditions, I prefer to start the scanning of the body from the feet. The reason I do that is because it builds up the mindfulness and the kindness in areas which aren't so crucial. So by the time I get to my torso, where that's all basically where the vital organs are, by the time I get up there, my mindfulness and kindness is strong. In traditions where you start with your head and you scan down, by the time it gets strong enough, you're on your legs and they're not so important. So I do the easy ones first of all, the feet and the legs, scanning up my body, in order to build up the power of kindfulness. So when it gets up to my chest area, it's pretty aware and the kindness is strong. When it gets up to my head, it gets really strong. Just building it up. I go for my feet first of all. And I do look upon them not as possessions, but as friends. Actually, I ask them, feet, how are you today? Like I would ask one of you. Haven't seen you for a while, how are you? How are you doing? When I can experience my feet, I've done this so many times that I can know how they feel and whether there's any problem down there, whether they need adjusting. My feet are just pretty okay. So I go up to my ankles and up my lower legs. Sometimes people feel this is a long way from things like jhanas, but no, you're developing the qualities of kindfulness. You're just seeing just how powerful that can be. You can take an ache or a pain and relax it totally away. It's still and it vanishes. And later on you may have some problem to solve. And you do it the same way, you calm the whole thing down like you calm your legs. You're aware, you're kind, and the thing settles down to a point where it can vanish. These days I'm not afraid. I may have some important decisions to make, but I know just making the mind peaceful helps enormously. Find these intuitive solutions to the difficulties of your life. So anyway, it's just a nice wind. That wind blowing from outside is just tingling over my whole body. So I'm just still relaxing my legs, scanning up the body past the knees. And I do linger on my knees. I'm old now. I have to make sure that they're in a very good position, otherwise they'll be aching in pain later. Scanning it along my thighs to my butt. And I'm taking as long as my body needs until I can tick it off, it's relaxed to the max. And go to my butt. It feels really quite comfortable today. If I need to fidget, I won't hesitate to fidget, because the comfort of my body is paramount at this moment. And I go up my back, strain it up. Feels good. Go up my torso, inside. All of those organs inside. If I find anywhere which is tight, tense, disturbed, I just linger there and give as much kindness as I possibly can. Kindness brings even to those parts of the body inside a sense of safety, a sense of openness, and that kindness allows healing to happen. The body's own healing mechanisms can start to work. At the very least, it feels relaxed, which is a beautiful feeling. Go right up my body, through my stomach and my lungs, whenever there's respiratory diseases like COVID, you always have to make sure that your lungs are relaxed and fit, healthy. They don't overreact. Into my heart. My heart knows how to beat. I don't need to tell it, I just need to allow it and trust it to do what it needs to do. And my whole torso, with all the organs inside, feel pretty relaxed. And relaxation is a specific type of feeling which you get to know very well. When you get to know it, it's very easy to make sure that you are really relaxed. And if you're not, you know how to bring your body to a deeper state of relaxation. And to your shoulders. I think it helps to make sure your shoulders are relaxed. They're not kind of extended, pulled, stretched, under any sort of pressure whatsoever. They're nice and loose. I scan down my arms to my hands. And once again, I don't know why I do this. Now I look at my hands, they're not in a good position. So I'm going to adjust them. And now my right hand is over my left hand, thumb slightly touching. And that feels so much better. It may only be a small thing for many people, but the fact that I notice it and willing to help my body out, it's like my body will now cooperate with me. I go up to my neck. Sometimes the position of the head on top of the neck. That is so important, to be able to have a neck which is relaxed and at ease. Make sure my head is not too far forward or too far back, too far to the left or the right. I found the optimum position by moving my head until I get it just right. Then I go to my head, in this particular case my face. I love doing this, relaxing the muscles around my eyes and my mouth, being into the state of peace. Sometimes people say that's doing something. Actually, it's not doing something, it's letting things go. It's just, instead of pulling those muscles, just letting them relax, being at ease. And that also means that as I say, the emotions which cause those muscles to tense up, they are lessened and weakened too. It's one of these great segues from the body into the mind. But right now, I've relaxed every part of my body I could find. So now, I stay with the whole body, being aware of it as one unit. And I've relaxed each part of it as best I could. Yeah, I can still feel the body, my body, but it's not painful, it's not throbbing, it's reasonably at ease. And you'll find from experience, when that ease is a certain level, so your body kind of tingles with the delight of relaxation, then I know this is good enough. My body can disappear now. I've looked after it. Now I can go to my mind. How peaceful is my mind? What makes it more peaceful? No, my mind could be more peaceful at this moment. Again, that surprised me, but in meditation we're honest with ourselves. So I have to be kinder to whatever I'm aware of right now. Kindness is important. I'm kind to my mind. And that allows me to feel that relaxation start to build up. I'm not going to tell my mind what to do. I'm going to be compassionate. My mind, the door of my heart is open to you. No matter how you feel, I'm your friend. There's ways of looking like that. Allow my mind to become more and more peaceful. I stay in this moment because it's a pleasant place to remain in. Not because I try and get rid of the past or get rid of the future. I often feel that people spend too much time in the past or the future simply because they don't know how to be at ease with the present. The past and the future became places of escape. So I'm content with my present moment, with kindness. And then the present moment starts to stay with me. Like a good friend will never leave your side. And once you have established that present moment, then it's not that hard, pretty easy to be silent. This is where you don't give things names. You don't have a running commentary. You don't feel the word can ever adequately describe how you feel. In that silence, in that present moment awareness, the stillness can grow. And the more still you are, the more things will disappear. Past and future, hopefully, have already disappeared for you. They'll come back later. But right now, they vanish. The words vanish. And the ideas which are carried by those words vanish. You just hear, that's all. What are you doing? Nothing. Just being aware and kind. And that creates a stillness which allows many, many, many things to disappear. And as more and more things get more distant from your awareness, what's left is very peaceful and can be very joyful. Just trust in the process of things disappearing and see what happens. I'm going to be quiet now until the end of the meditation. It's getting close to the end of this meditation period. Only a couple of minutes to go. Can you notice how you feel? What's the state of your mind right now? How peaceful? How content? And don't confuse the stillness with tiredness. When the mind is very energetic, it's like poised like a cat by the mouse hole. It's still, energies inside. And it feels powerful and peaceful. And as you start to get in contact with your body again, how's your body feel? How relaxed? When the body is relaxed, it feels healthy. It too is energized. Start to feel the benefits of this meditation, which are huge. So I'm now going to ring the gong 3 times. Please listen to every sound from the gong and use it as a gentle, gradual way of coming out from the meditation and opening your eyes. Great, there we go. Thank you for joining in. Now, it's the question time. So we've got a couple of questions from overseas. Is there one question from the floor here before we start? No. Questions are coming. Here we go. Excellent. Dear Ajahn Brahm, what state of mind should one cultivate when one engages in an act of giving? Thank you. First of all, keep it simple. Don't do things complicated. An act of giving is an act of kindness, is an act of knowing you're part of things. Even when somebody asked me, just as I was coming in here, that, is it work to actually to teach? It's one of the things which monks can do. We can give, we share. It's not an act of giving. It's a privilege. I mean that. It's a great joy when you share with somebody. So it depends how you want to use an act of giving. But when I use an act of giving, it's like an act of saying thank you to the person receiving. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you and give with you. I never feel superior if I give or if I take. It's a beautiful part of our life. Even though that you think if it's a family, where you're supposed to give to one another, share everything. But then I just increase the idea of a family to much bigger than just husband, wife, and kids, and aunties and uncles and stuff. To just all your friends. That's like a family. It's a family we choose. And so we share together, and it's a great privilege to be able to give. But anyway, you can make up your own sort of, state of mind. But it should be something where you're not asking for anything back in return. I'm not giving, expecting my name to be put up on a sort of a brass plaque somewhere. This was given by Ajahn Brahm or whoever. You give it because it's just a joy. From Germany. How does one deal with the fear of going into homelessness when you find more fulfillment and joy by losing rather than having work and finding joy in sensual pleasure? What is a wonderful thing to do if you can find a community of homeless people, like monks and nuns. That's what, one of the descriptions, going from home into homelessness. But sometimes, and I've been living at Bodhinyana Monastery for 38 years now, so I must admit it does feel like a home to me. But, this is honest, just went to London recently, and that's where I grew up. So that's like a home to me as well. And I go to Malaysia and Singapore, you've got so many friends there, people I've spent so much time with. To Thailand. These are all my second homes, third homes, fourth homes. So what actually is a home? It's a home where your friends live. Not so much a place where you were born. It depends when people you've spent so much time, you care for one another. And every time I do this, for example, I'm trying to arrange even like a little trip to Penang. No, so not to Penang, to Hong Kong. They was writing to me, haven't been there for a while. And even in Hong Kong, there's so many people I care for there. And so if I landed in Hong Kong, it's like another home. And I love so many homes. I got too many homes. So if anyone is a bit homeless, they want another home, I can give you one. So don't have the fear of going to homelessness. It's, find some communities of like-minded people, even online, and just see how you can just fulfill the requirements of living. You got shelter in times of rain or heat or snow, and you got food to eat. You don't need that much. And if people know how to live with little, then they don't really need homelessness. A nice simple place is good enough. Dear Ajahn Brahm, is it possible for a person to make very rapid progress on the path due to karmic circumstances, so rapid that it overwhelms the conditioned daily life? Brain. It's not sort of overwhelms, but it just, sometimes the karma, the inclinations are so strong, it doesn't so much overwhelm, but weaken the interest and attachment to other things. It just, sometimes you wonder, what am I doing that for? So what you do, you stop doing it. Live a more simple life. And of course it's great that you can become at least a member or listen in to communities like this, and just to see how people can live together in a peaceful, simple, inexpensive environment. And then you can make rapid progress on the path. And that rapid progress on the path, it's not rapid progress, it's just more things disappear. I don't look upon this as like a training where you get stronger in this and you learn more about that. It's not like a university. This is like, when things get more simple and more peaceful and more happy. It's a a gradual progress into peace and kindness. And rapid progress, sometimes you don't even count how many weeks or months or years or minutes it takes. I remember one of the things which the Buddha said, one of his similes, just like a person who has an axe who has to chop wood, and then just they notice over the weeks, the months and the years that the handle gets worn off. They don't know how much it gets worn off, but it's just through usage, it gets thinner and thinner. And that's just like the practice on our path. Our attachments, our suffering, our fears, our longings get weaker and weaker. It doesn't really matter if it's rapid or slow. You don't even judge that. Just as long as you're at peace, content and easily satisfied, not proud and demanding in nature, as we chant in the Metta Sutta. Dear Ajahn Brahm, how can we stop wondering when and how we are going to die and live peacefully? When are you going to die? Okay, I've been very serious today, but people over in UK reminded me of one of the favourite stories, was when there were so many aircraft flying over, Asia, especially the Middle East, and getting shot down. And so they asked me, Ajahn Brahm, you have to stop flying in aircraft so much. Because it's only a probability. The more you fly, the more you're likely to get into a terrorist explosion, or a cruise missile just goes off course and hits your aircraft. You might die in an aircraft explosion at 30,000 feet. And so instead of worrying about that, then I started telling about the 3 benefits from dying in an aircraft explosion at 30,000 feet. I hope you remember them. It's been a while since I said it here, but the 3 benefits of dying in an aircraft explosion at 30,000 feet. Number 1, it's an instant cremation. It's all done on the spot. It's not you just die, you get cremated at the same time, and your ashes get spread over this beautiful area. Your family don't need to do that. A lot of times people think, what are we going to do with the ashes? It's all settled for you. It's no problem at all. Number 2 is, it's not just done for free, but your family get a payout from the aircraft company from this. Now, honestly, if you've done funerals for anybody, it's very expensive. And this one, your family make money out of your death. Now, I've got no people won't inherit anything from me if I die. This way, the Buddhist Society of Western Australia get a nice payout. I'm sure that they talk to the Treasury and think, oh, that's very good. And third and the best, is if you die at 30,000 feet in an aircraft explosion, you're so close to heaven, it's easy to go the rest of the way. You're halfway there. I've got no plans of dying in aircraft explosions. But that's the way we overcome fear, with joy. And if you find joy in it, and make it a little bit funny, a bit ridiculous, then we don't have to keep obsessing about dying. When it happens, it happens. And no one can know when you are going to die. I remember even here, a couple of times people actually one time in particular, a person just after I think it was a Friday night talk, or Saturday afternoon meditation, and they just came up to ask a question, they died here, just over there. Any time. That's why no one sits over there these days. So in other words, don't even worry about it. You don't need to know when we're going to die. That's an impossible thing to know. From Malaysia, dear Ajahn, can someone have better luck when we practice meditation? If you practice meditation, that already is good luck. I have had a bad work week. My emotion is unstable, irritable. can you help me? The week is over now. So you've had a bad work week, and see if it's the same next week. Sometimes your emotions are unstable, irritable. It was from Malaysia. Just go and get inspired by helping somebody. I always say that's one of the best things to overcome the idea of depression or you're in a bad state. Go towards people who are positive, and you pick up from that. Most of the emotions are contagious. That's why I was telling some of the monks I was suffering from jet lag when I came back from London. And some of the monks I was suggesting maybe it's contagious. And a few of the other monks started getting tired. There's more to that than just a joke. Because if somebody is positive and happy and joyful, you pick up on that. You become more joyful. If you're sort of negative and tired, complaining about this and complaining about that, that actually makes other people be more complaining too. That's one of the reasons why you've had a bad work week, your emotions are unstable, irritable, go and help some positive people. Go and be around people who smile more. Go around people who tell silly jokes like dying in an aircraft explosion at 30,000 feet. And just that much, that will actually change the attitudes, and you go back to work next week. But always remember, this is one thing which he was the head of the Changi Airport Corporation over in Singapore. And we were doing a little conference together about how to make the work a much better place. And at that time, the next day, he had to leave early because he was arranging the opening of Changi Airport Terminal 4 at that time. And so he was saying, he said to the people in the audience, how many of you go to work making a resolution to make another person happy that day? And how many people expect the corporation to make you happy? And he said, if you go there, and I intend, my plan today is not just to do my work, but to make another person happy, just one person, each day, then you'll be making much more happiness in the company where you work. It's not just going to work. It's just you're working with people hopefully you care for. And you can actually give them that little smile or that cup of coffee which they never expected. Whatever it was, go to work, try to make someone happy that day. And I think then he turned to me and he said, Ajahn Brahm, you're a monk, so you must have to do that every day, make someone happy. That's my job. And teaching, telling silly jokes or whatever. You see, so you create happiness in your workplace. You don't expect others to create it for you. Okay, so any questions about that so far? Okay, you know that we're having a little function outside. Eddie's already out there with a few others. The function is actually celebrating and saying thank you to all the volunteers who make this BSWA possible. It's not just to the monks and the nuns who are here. You might think that this is our job, that we are professionals. This is what we're supposed to do. But I'm sure even Venerable Dhammadeepa sitting next to me would also confirm we do much more than we expected to do as monks. We serve as well. We try and do as much as possible to make a happy community here. So because of that, I'm invited, celebrating volunteers, and everybody else is. People are busy volunteering their services, putting all the tables up outside. And of course, you're all welcome to join in. And that will be starting at 5 o'clock. Actually, it probably will start before then. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, there'll be, I don't know exactly what's going on. I know that Eddie has got these drums and goodness knows what else in the office there. So it's going to be noisy. But there's going to be food. And there's going to be just a nice little ceremony to say thank you. That's how we say thank you. And how you say thank you to us, by joining in. So, thank you. Is any questions yet? Now, come on, let's go and enjoy the party. You just bow this time. Yes. Oops. Oops. Okay.
That's all for the day.